Well, good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing this morning? We're here with Monday Morning Motivation.
Yep.
Chris Cooking Nashville and the beautiful Ash Taylor over here.
Very sweet. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to everybody.
New week.
A new week indeed. A new week and a new opportunity to talk about some motivation and what we're going to do this week to stay motivated and improve and grow and all of these different kinds of things. Looks like we've got a few of our friends here. We've got Janelle saying good morning, all positively motivated to be here. Well, that is a good way to put it. I love that. 22Q Cat Lynn is here. Good Monday morning, Chris, Ash, and all. I'm ready for this.
Oh.
And Maritza is here. She says good morning, Chris and Ash. And she's saying good morning to Lynn as well. And Lynn's telling Maritza hello. And
good morning.
Everybody's waving at everybody. Maritza says hi, Janelle. So, well, very cool.
Everyone's so nice here.
Everyone is so nice
so
here.
Pleasant.
Everybody is so nice. It's one of the best things about this community is we all, show up and we try to support each other and we try to stay motivated and encourage each other, which is really important. Really important. We can't do this on our own very well, and I've tried and I failed at that pretty miserably when I did. So let's see. Simon's RC is here. Says good morning from Centralia, Washington. Very cool.
Hello.
So, well, guys, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know you're here. If you have questions, drop them into the comments. We are going to have a good time. Let's see. Patricia Hoffman is here. Says, hi, guys.
Hey.
I'm the same age as Cindy and a grandma of 4. What nickname can you come up with for me if Cindy is old grandma?
You started something.
I'm
You're
telling you
trouble.
what, Cindy is going to stab me when I'm not looking for starting this. Patricia, I don't know. Well, we'll think about that. We'll
think about it.
We'll have to see what comes up for Patricia. So.
Yeah.
Richard Williams is here. Good morning, neighbors. Have a great week. Well, you too, Richard. We're glad to see you, neighbor. And Maritza says, I need the positive energy. Have a colonoscopy on Friday. Well, Maritza,
no.
I'm sorry that you have that scheduled. I know that's probably not fun, but we will pray for a very smooth process and good results for you. So
hang in there, girl.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys have not yet, please make sure to hit the thumbs up to tell YouTube that this is a valuable thing and share this with your friends. Let them know that we are live this morning and we're here to encourage and try to help everybody stay focused and honestly keep ourselves focused this week. So
speaking of, can I ask a question?
You can absolutely ask a question.
I would like to know, since it's Monday and we're kind of heading into a new week, what are you going to be up to this week? What are some things that you want to get motivated about and some things that you are looking forward to or dreading?
Sure. Well, I wouldn't say there's anything I'm dreading. I don't generally try to dread much of anything in life. I don't really feel like things are ever bad enough to need to dread them. It's very rare that there's anything going on in my life that I think is so impactful and yet so negative that I have to dread. So I really try to avoid that. Not to say it never happens, but it's a fairly rare feeling for me to totally dread something. There are things I like more than others for sure, but I would say the biggest things that I have going on this week that I'm just wanting to stay motivated about is I have a bunch of video editing to do. I see Patricia just said editing Mel's dog food video ? Yes. I'm actually almost done editing that. So hopefully that will come out sometime this week. Maybe midweek sometime or early next week. We'll just have to play around with the posting schedule and figure out when the right time is to put that out. But yes, we're hoping to get that out probably this week. I'm almost done editing that. So that's kind of a weird one to edit. There's a lot of elements that kind of just have to be all picked out and put together in that one.
Right.
So that one just takes a little bit more editing work, as do some of the others that I've done lately. As we try to step up the game on the quality of video and the quality of the filming and the different things we're doing, it also makes the editing process a little bit harder. So it does take some time. So I'm working on that. I've got several other videos that need to be edited. We have filmed 2 recipe videos. We are getting ready to do a 3rd, and we have your youngest brother's wedding coming up. We're heading to California on tour.
Yes.
We have several other things project-wise we're doing. So this particular week, and then those are not all happening this week, but this particular week is basically getting everything set up on YouTube so that when we're out flying around and whatever, I can monitor things with my cell phone and not have to be sitting in front of a computer editing and doing all that kind of stuff, because we won't be here to do so. So I have a bunch of stuff that I have to get ahead on this week. So those are the things that I'm mainly focused on and trying to stay motivated about getting done. That and just the way that I'm eating.
Yeah, trying to set ourselves up to succeed, because this week we're trying to do a bunch of filming and editing and get caught up on YouTube stuff. And then Thursday, we're actually driving to Ohio and playing a show up there. And then Friday, we're going to be in Indiana, and we're actually filming a music video on Friday. And then Saturday, we're coming back and go back to editing and trying to get stuff caught up. And then next week, my brother's getting married. My family's here. It's a whole thing.
And then after that, we fly out.
We fly to California for a week. We play a week of shows out there. And then we come back for a couple of days. And then we have Keto Palooza. So we're just trying to make sure that everything's set up and caught up. And that way we're able to kind of just set ourselves up to succeed, and just trying to take care of ourselves. We're basically
trying to get ourselves like 3 to 4 weeks ahead. Which getting 1 week ahead is difficult enough on YouTube. Doing 3 or 4 weeks ahead, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of filming and a lot of editing, and it takes a lot of time. I don't know if a lot of people know or not, but when I edit a video, I probably put, this is not filming, recipe creation, any of that other stuff, just editing. I probably put 8 to 12 hours of editing into almost every video we release.
Yeah, sometimes more, I feel like, if it's something really like in depth. But I mean, it's also like we're grateful to do all this for a living, and it's what we love to do. But it's just kind of part of being.
It takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time. So I think that's why we're trying to eat right, be motivated, and just kind of go about it, set ourselves up to succeed. And, and get ready for a busy couple of weeks. It's going to be really exciting stuff.
Absolutely. It's going to be good. So what about you? What are you trying to stay motivated with this week? I mean, I know a lot of the same stuff that I'm doing, because we're kind of partners in all things, but is there stuff that you're trying to stay motivated for that I
think just traveling and playing shows. I also just released a single on Friday, so just a few days ago. And so, when you release music, there's always so much work that goes into it. So if you see the bags under my eyes this morning, I'm great, but that's just kind of part of my job. So I think just traveling, playing shows, filming music videos, releasing music, there's a lot that goes into it. I'm also kind of trying to get ready for, like I said, flying to California for a week, and just all these upcoming tour dates and shows that we have, and just trying to stay motivated and positive. I think I don't mind being busy. I think my Nana would always say, idle hands are those of the devil. And I think they're true. I think it does your brain good, especially like if you clean up your diet and everything, and it's like you can think clearly and you have the energy to do so. I think it's a good thing to put your hands and your body and your mind to work, and create things, or, just whatever it is it may be. I think it's a really cool thing. I mean, I'm going to have my whole family out here. I haven't seen even my mom in a couple of years. So, it's a lot of family time that I'm going to be spending. It's a lot of shows. It's a lot of interviews and performances and touring and traveling and live streams, but it's like, it's all good. So I'm just trying to stay happy, stay healthy, and just go do what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing and have a good attitude about it. And I'm sure I'll be tired, but that's okay. I'd rather, do what I'm supposed to be doing with my life than be how like I used to be, and just go eat, a bunch of pasta, and then have a margarita and pass out on the couch.
Absolutely. I totally agree. We've just got a bunch of stuff going on, but I think it's all good, and we're going to have fun. And, it's the life of a touring musician to always be just kind of on the run and always be busy. And then, quite honestly, as a YouTuber, it's the exact same thing. It really being a YouTuber and being a musician are pretty much the exact same lifestyle, I feel like, with the exception as a musician, you kind of travel around and do more like live show type stuff. Whereas on YouTube, you're recording and doing the video thing more. But it's really just constantly busy, constantly pushing, constantly working to sort of take, what you're doing now and work towards the next thing with it, because it doesn't matter how much work you just put into one thing. The very first thing everyone asks is, cool, so what's next? And it's just an element of what we do, and we love it. So it's a big commitment, but we have a good time. So.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of goes into what we were talking about, positivity and just staying, positive, and why it's important to eat right and to kind of keep your mind clear and focused on things and just keep rolling. I mean, it's all part of it.
It's what we do. Maritza says, just share it on Facebook. Well, thank you, Maritza. Everybody else, if you're watching, feel free to share this with a friend and let them know we are here. Janelle wants to know, what are the new recipe videos about? Well, so we've got one, which is the ultimate way to make bacon.
You're going to like that one.
That's
was
going
a
to be fun.
one.
We went through a pound of bacon, the two of us filming that.
Not mad about it.
Yeah, and we had dinner after. So I mean, that pound of bacon was just for the video, and then we had dinner. So we did the ultimate bacon. We did a upgrade to the hamburger helper.
So good.
Yo, yeah, it's like 10 times. I mean, the original one that I did was good, but this is like an upgrade with my new pasta recipe and a totally different way of doing that. And it was so good. I ate a huge bowl of hamburger helper last night for dinner. It was amazing.
It was awesome.
And then today we are filming the ultimate chicken wing. How to get it nice and crispy. So we're going to be testing a bunch of stuff out. So we're enjoying doing those ultimate videos. I think people really seem to enjoy learning like all of the different ways we can think of to cook a particular thing. And it's like, I know it's not so much like a recipe including all of a bunch of different ingredients, and it's not some of the inventive recipe stuff that I'm really known for, but I think people really seem to enjoy this because I'm going in depth into all of the different ways of doing the same recipe.
Right.
And figuring out, which is really not even a recipe, it's really just techniques, but figuring out like what is the best way to do this and why is that the best way to do it. So,
and I've enjoyed them too, because I feel like, maybe you make your scrambled eggs or your bacon or whatever like a certain way and you think that's really good, but when you taste these all back to back, you're like, oh, that's not as good as I actually think it is. I mean, the results of these are actually really surprising to me. And things that I thought would be so gross, I'm like, oh my gosh, those are incredible. So they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting when I post these videos, sometimes I get people that comment on them and they argue for one of the methods that we tried that really was very clearly not as good. And I'm interested when people do that to say like, but have you actually ever done this back to back? Because I know you believe that, and I know you think it's great. Anyone can think anything is great. But if you actually did it back to back, a blind test, which would you actually prefer?
Right.
And it's, we do these things with a very open mind, and I oftentimes am surprised. I wouldn't say there's any that I think are going to be real great that turned out terrible, or any that I think are going to be real terrible that turned out amazing. But there are definitely methods of things where it's like, I don't think this is going to be that good. And then in a blind test next to everything else back to back, I actually think it's really good. And it surprises me. The oven method of cooking scrambled eggs, that was one
shocked us.
That really caught me off guard. I thought it was going to be terrible. And maybe not terrible, but I thought it was going to be very like meh. I don't really like that. And then we had it and I was like, that's actually really good. And if I was making eggs for a giant group of people and I was, trying to do 100 other things, I would totally do that.
Right.
And it was really crazy. So, let's see. We have Patricia asking, where in California? Where are we going to be?
So, October 3rd, we are going to be in Paso Robles. And then we're in the 4th and the 5th, Clovis, and then Oakdale. And then on Sunday, the 6th, October 6th, we are in Bakersfield, California, my hometown. I don't know if those are around anyone that's watching, but if you're in the area, we'd love to see you out at a show. And there's a bunch of info on my website, ashtaylor.com. But yeah, if you're in Cali, if you're kind of around Central California, come see us. We'd love to meet you in person.
Absolutely. We love meeting people when they come out to shows, and we just appreciate the support too. 'Cause you guys, if you think being a YouTuber is hard when it comes to like getting support, man, you want to try being a live musician. it's really something.
Mm-hmm.
So we appreciate our family here when they come out and support, because you guys don't know how much that helps us, especially because when people show up and then venue owners see people are coming to show up to see us, they go, oh wow, people actually follow you and they actually want to come see you. Like you wouldn't think that would be that hard of a thing to communicate to a venue owner, but it really is. And that's a lot of what being a musician is about, is can you put butts in those seats? And like, if you want to move forward, that's how we do it. And it's, you know, it's a difficult thing, because you have to convince people that it's worth giving up time that they have, free time, and sometimes money for tickets and whatever, to come spend time watching you do what you do. And that's a tough sell in today's world, where everyone has a million things vying for their time and attention and money. So
yeah,
we really appreciate when you guys come out. It makes such a huge difference. And Ash looks so good when you guys come out and support her. So Lynn says, hope things go smoothly for you Friday, Maritza. And Maritza says, thank you all for the good vibes. Lynn wants to know, Ash, has it sunk in yet that you are larger than life on a huge billboard? That is the coolest thing ever and well deserved.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. No, I don't really know if it sunk in. I kind of looked up at it when we went to go see it, and I was like, is my head really that big in real life? But yeah, it's really cool, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and it has really seemed to help my new single. And it's very cool, though. It was my first time seeing myself on a billboard, and hopefully it won't be the last. But it was really special, and I appreciate all the support that you and other folks have given us about that. It was really cool, honestly. Kind of like a dream come true. Like, you never know if you're going to hit that point, and then you do, and you're like, that's pretty awesome.
I got to stand there and take video clips and pictures and just be proud, and it was very nice for me just to stand there and see her getting to look at her own picture up on the billboard. So it was really funny. I was filming a little video clip, and this guy walked right between the two of us as we're trying to film. It's like like awareness much, like it was a whole thing. But what was so funny is, after he walks past, then he stops. He turned around, he looked at us, and then he looked at the billboard, which had her face all over it. And it's like, oh yeah, ding, 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 ding. We're doing something here. What do you know? Like, welcome to the world. So it was so funny. So it was pretty wild. Let's see. Janelle says, YouTube, videos, editing, trolls. This is why I admire you and enjoy your channel instead of having my own channel. Well, I appreciate that, Janelle. Yes, all of those things. And we're actually going to talk about trolls a little bit today, because our subject is remaining positive, and trolls try to keep things negative. We're going to talk about why we don't pay any attention to that, because positivity and our mental health is a major, major element of being successful, not just with keto or carnivore, but with life in general. So we're going to talk about that. Let's see. Patricia wants to know, who takes care of Mel when you're away?
Well, so sometimes, if it makes sense to, depending on the show and travel arrangements and kind of stuff, we actually take Mel with us. She is a really good little traveler, and she actually loves getting in the car, going bye-bye, as we say. She hangs out in the hotel, and she just kind of does her thing. If it's something, though, like where we're going to be really busy and kind of not around to take care of her or let her in and out of the hotel room, stuff like that, then we have a good friend, Scotty, who actually watches her. So we drop her off at Uncle Scotty's house, and she'll stay with him.
You've probably seen Scotty in a couple of my recipe videos as a taste tester. He's a guitar student of mine. He's just a really good friend. He's like family at this point. And we take her over to Uncle Scotty's house, and I mean, for her, it's like a vacation.
She loves it. She loves it.
They spend all day. He's self-employed, so he can like flex his schedule real well. And he misses having a dog, he said, which is why he wanted to do this the first time we did it, and he's loved it ever since. And he's like, he runs out and does his client work for an hour or 2, 3 at a time, whatever. And then he comes back and he kind of works from home a lot with other stuff that he does. He's a songwriter and all these different things. And so he sits there with his laptop, and he turns on the TV, and they watch movies and hang out on the couch while he does his work. And she just apparently sleeps on her back the whole time. And she's happy. And then they go out he lives over by the lake. And so they go out into the backyard, and she barks at the turkeys that walk through the yard every day. And she just has a wild time.
She does. She loves it.
Loves it. Yeah, she has a good time. So Lynn has a question I have to ask every week. What you both drinking? I'm nosy like that.
I have to make a confession. Since Chris and I have been together, but for the most part, especially been married for 3 years, I don't make my own coffee. I don't make my own food. I don't make my own coffee. So I will let you tell them what's in this because I have no idea. I just drink it and go, wow, that's really tasty.
3 shots of espresso, a few tablespoons of cream, a little bit of water, a bunch of ice, pinch of Redmond salt, and 5 drops of iodine.
Good stuff.
There we go.
Good stuff. We also feel like we really need the coffee today, so hence the bigger cups today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, everyone's talking about bacon. Yum. Yeah. If you like bacon, drop bacon into the chat. We love bacon too. So, Janelle says, love the how to cook whatever videos. I keep learning. Well, I appreciate that. And that's the thing. Like, I do those videos, and honestly, I learn as much from making that video as I think people do from watching those videos. This is the thing with the kitchen. Like, it takes practice. I was watching a video on like cooking techniques and things by a guy who was a professional chef for like 11 years or something, and then started his YouTube channel. And I guess that's what he does full time now. But I was watching, and he was talking about kitchen tips, things that he learned from being a professional chef that make being a chef easier. And I was watching through, and he was talking about things, and honestly, they were all things that I had heard before. But he was talking about how anything in the kitchen requires practice. You have to practice. If you don't practice, you can't get better. And I was like, that's really something interesting to think about, because I think a lot of times people, they try a recipe and maybe it doesn't work out and they go, oh, that's a terrible recipe. Or they try a new technique, or they try something different and it's hard, it doesn't go very well. And it's like, well, that's not worth my time because that's too hard. But the thing is, in the kitchen, it's like everything else. Like, you have to practice. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So when people say, oh, Chris, you make it look really easy, truthfully, for me, it is. But that's also not the way that it started. It's easy for me because I do it so much and I've practiced it so much. And it's like, how can I look at something and throw it together and not measure it? Like, when I make my pasta now, when I put like the egg white powder and the beef gelatin and all those kinds of things in there, I don't measure any of that. I just do it by eye. I just know what it's supposed to look like. I don't measure the salt. I don't measure the baking soda. I just throw it all in and I put it together, and it comes out great every single time. It's not because I'm somehow especially talented compared to someone else. I've just done it so much. It's just purely practice. Playing guitar is the same thing. The reason that I play the way that I do is because I've put thousands of hours of practice into being able to play guitar like that over my life. So it's just a practice thing. And then, I think when we do those videos, that's me practicing as much as it is me making a video. And that's why I learn so much from it, and it informs my cooking going forward. Like, I changed the way I make scrambled eggs now. I've made scrambled eggs for us a couple of times since I've done that scrambled egg video, and I pick one of our top 3 kinds of ways of doing it, or incorporate different elements of that kind of stuff. And so, like, the last time I did sort of a modified version of the Gordon Ramsay thing, and I used a whisk instead of a spatula, and I used bacon grease in there, and like kind of put together this ultimate scrambled egg thing that was like her love of bacon grease and sort of a combo of those top techniques. And they were incredible. I mean, they were way better than the regular scrambled eggs I would have made, a month ago. And it's things like that. Like, I'm always refining how I do that stuff. So we really enjoy those kinds of videos for that reason. Patricia says, I love the ultimate videos, learning so much. How many ounces were your burger patties? So those burger patties in that burger patty video, that was probably somewhere around 1/3 of a pound for each of those burger patties, between 1/4 and 1/3 of a pound. So 4-5 ounces, maybe pushing 6. I didn't measure. I just formed them all by hand into the size that I like burger patties. And again, they were all pretty uniform, and that's just because I do it so much. I just do it all the time, doing that kind of stuff, and I just kind of know about the size that I like them to be. If I want to make them great big, I can, but I don't find them they cook very easily that way. If I want them really small for a particular reason, I could do that. But again, I find that makes them more difficult to cook. I like them the size that I made them because it allows me to cook them through to like a medium rare pushing medium, which is about where we like our burgers. And it makes it easy to do that while getting a crust on the outside without overcooking or undercooking anything in the middle. And I've just done it so much I can just look at it and go, yep, that's about the right size.
Yeah.
So, I know that's probably frustrating for people that are trying to learn to do that. And it was very frustrating for me when I was first learning to do that. And I was like, this burger is overcooked. This burger is undercooked. This one's too big. This one's too small. And I had to go through it 100 times before I really got it right. So it's just a whole thing. But we love those ultimate videos. I'm glad you guys are enjoying them too. Yeah. Simon's RC says a lot of people doing a sardine challenge. Have you ever done any sardine recipes? So I have not. I love sardines. I don't eat them very frequently, and truthfully, I should probably incorporate more of them because they'd be great. This one over here hates the smell of sardines and honestly probably the flavor, but I don't even think she could get over the smell to try a bite. There are certain people that just really have an aversion to that. She likes other types of fish and seafood that I make, but the sardines does not do it for her. Now, if I had fresh sardines and I made them the way they do like in Europe or in Asia, where they're fresh and it's more like fresh seafood that you can like fry them or you can, cook them in different ways. Like she may like that, but they are a pretty oily, fatty fish, which has a very distinct smell and flavor. That's not really her thing. So if I was to do a sardine recipe, I would have to have somebody who loves sardines, or I would have to do the taste test myself or something like that. Cause that's not a thing. I would love to help Ash learn to enjoy sardines. There's some mountains I just don't know if they can be climbed. That one's a pretty big one. So I haven't done any sardine recipes, but I might consider that and see if there's anything we could do that she could film but not actually be involved in the taste test. So Maritza says, so much information and love learning from you. Well, Maritza, I appreciate that. I love learning by doing this for you guys. It makes a huge difference for me. So Lynn says, playing back home in Bakersfield would be so awesome and fun.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a blast. I'm really excited about that show for sure.
How long has it been since you've been in Bakersfield?
Well, I think the last time that
we drove through it when we were out there years ago before we were married.
And we drove through it in 2020, literally right before the pandemic, right before we got engaged. We drove through it because we were there for my one brother's wedding for a couple of days, but just drove through. The last time I was home in Bakersfield, though, I think would have been in like 2017, 2018. I mean, it's been years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was supposed to play a festival there in 2020, and the festival got canceled because of the pandemic, and then it never got redone. And I mean, I've just been busy. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun for sure.
It's going to be a really good time. I've never been to Bakersfield other than just that little drive through. So she's going to show me.
I'm going to show them all the cool spots.
Show me where she comes from, which is, it's a cool thing. I mean, she's been to where I come from several times, and we've kind of driven around, and I've shown her where I grew up and all those things. So I'm looking forward to getting to see that. So
yeah.
Lynn says, I already read that. Lynn also says, do you know how long the billboard will stay up?
We had an agreement with the media company, and they actually left it up a lot longer than what we agreed to, which I appreciated. I was like, oh, well, thanks, guys. So I think it's already been taken down, but I think it was just up there for like a day or two.
Yeah. That's a very, very notorious, popular billboard in Nashville. Everyone knows that billboard because where that sits is at the end of Broadway, and essentially Broadway and West End split right there. So West End goes one direction and Broadway continues the other. If you go from where that sign is, if you turn around with that sign to your back and you head that direction down the road, that will take you downtown Nashville where all the tourism is. So that's like a big back and forth area.
It's also right off of like where Music Row is.
Yes.
So that's a very sought after thing. So they usually don't let people go for long periods of time because the the demand of that billboard, the location is so good. They're like, we want to keep.
It is a very highly sought after billboard to have your face on because of where it is, and all the traffic going right past it. And it sits right next to the main bridge that goes over the downtown interstate loop. And so you get off of there, and if you go one way, you go to there's a bunch of hotels and there's restaurants and there's all kinds of stuff, and there's Music Row and there's that whole side of downtown. And then if you go the other way, it takes you to where all the downtown bars are and all the tourism is. So, I mean, you have tourists walking back and forth there. You have people taking Uber and Lyft. You have taxis. You have everyone who works downtown drives back and forth through there. Everyone on their lunch break is going back and forth through there. Right on the other side of that bridge, there is a Whole Foods that's built into the bottom of a high rise, which is where a bunch of the people that live downtown all grocery shop. I mean, it's a very busy little area. So that's a very, very sought after billboard. So it's getting your face up there for one day is a massive thing. We didn't even expect it to be up as long as it was.
No, they were very kind to us.
Yeah,
so.
they put it up even longer than they said they would. So that was very cool.
Yeah.
Janelle says, I still want to know how you cut your pastry bag to get fettuccine. That will be coming. That is probably one of the other recipe videos we're talking about filming here very soon. I have to come up with what kind of pasta recipe I would do. But yes, we will definitely show you guys how to make the fettuccine. So
stay tuned. It's coming.
Yep. It's going to be good. I made fettuccine Alfredo for us the other night.
It was really good.
Short of when I make handmade pasta and make fettuccine Alfredo, that was the best fettuccine Alfredo I've made.
I'd agree.
So, and I mean, truthfully, if I gave that to someone, I'm not sure 99% of people would even know it wasn't real pasta.
I don't think so. It was really good.
It was so good. I nailed it. Lynn says, definitely takes practice and experimenting when it comes to cooking. I love doing both. Yes. It's a process. I mean, you guys can imagine too, for the recipes I have, to get them right the first time. How many times do I have to go through things? And that's why I'm always updating. You know, people are like, oh, I thought you already had a fettuccine Alfredo recipe, or I thought you already had a lasagna. I do, but this one's better. And it's like, well, which one should I use? The most updated one.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It's just the better.
Because I'm always experimenting and trying to make it better. So, you know, I want to give you guys the very best that we have, and always try to increase the enjoyment. So Simon's RC says, my wife is the same with sardines. Yeah, some people just
maybe
some people
you
hate
could
them.
come up with a recipe to where you could figure out a way to hide the taste and the smell.
Yeah.
And put it in something so that those of us that would benefit from eating sardines but can't handle them.
Can't handle the taste.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will experiment, and if I can come up with anything that she will eat, that she says, yeah, that's actually not bad, I can eat sardines, I will definitely be sharing that everywhere.
Yeah,
so,
yes. Make it easy.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all caught up on comments. Let's talk about some positivity.
All right.
And let's talk about mental health. And I am really passionate about helping people by doing this kind of stuff. And this is why this is so important to me. If you guys follow my channel and if you've watched any of my health vlogs, you probably already know. I wouldn't say I was at the point of being like suicidal ideation, but I was definitely very depressed and dealing with anxiety and dealing with a lot of self-loathing and a lot of negativity towards myself and where I was before I found keto and then eventually carnivore. I was really struggling. And, you know, I've said before, I appreciate Ash for many things, but one of those things is the fact that she saw the best in me when I was at my worst and my lowest. And she saw things that I did not see in myself. And the fact that she loved me even when I would consider myself to be pretty unlovable, is really a testament to how wonderful of a person she is and how self-sacrificing she is. And truthfully, a lot of where I am now is because of the fact that she encouraged me and tried to help me find positivity in things. And I didn't necessarily do a good job of it for a long time. And I mean, I was not in a place to. I did not have a good mental health thing going on between the brain fog and the physical issues I was dealing with at almost 400 pounds and just the way that I looked at myself. There was a lot of negativity and a lot of just unhappy things in my life. A lot of it. And you guys probably saw on my main channel on my community tab, and if you haven't, you can go look at it. And I'm going to be posting another one very much like this. I advertised the Cheetos video was out on my community tab and on my Facebook page with a picture that was a before picture and then an after picture and then the little Cheetos thumbnail on there. And I put in there, it was a direct quote from a comment that I got on that Cheetos video not long after it was posted, actually. And I actually had to go, and it was one of those like hidden comments that YouTube makes hidden, so you actually have to review it and decide if you want to put it on the channel or not. And this person said, "Just eat your meat, fatties." And they were talking about how basically my body hadn't changed one bit and all this different kind of stuff. And so I put that picture up because I thought, I realized that there's a lot of this kind of negativity out there. And I mean, I've experienced a lot of this negativity. Ash has experienced this negativity. I'm sure you guys have experienced this negativity in one way or another in your lives. And so I put that out because I was like, I understand that maybe making carnivore Cheetos is not like the cleanest way of doing carnivore in the world. I totally agree that it's like if you just ate a beef patty or a steak with salt on it, that would be a cleaner thing. But I'm also looking at this and I'm like, okay, look at what's actually happened to us. Like, look at the before pictures and then look at the after pictures. And so I put that up kind of as a way of showing like, hey, it's not about being the best carnivore. It's not about losing weight as fast as humanly possible. It's about changing your life and enjoying the process and being able to be stable and one thing at a time making choices for yourself. Do you want to have something like carnivore Cheetos or not? And if you don't, that's cool. And if you do, here you go. Here's an option. So I put that up. I then got another comment on that post. And this person said, "I don't think this before and after picture is the home run you think it is." Which was very confusing to me because I never said that picture was a home run. And they talked about how in the first picture, it's well lit and I'm not wearing a shirt. In the second picture, I'm wearing a dark shirt and it's a dark background and I have a guitar in front of me, whatever. And they really missed the point. That it's like, I'm not saying that I'm at my ideal body weight. And I'm not saying that, you should aspire to look like me if you're overweight. I never said any of that. What I said was, look at what's happened to me by doing these kinds of things piece by piece. And it's very apparent in that picture. When you look at the first picture and you look at the second picture, it is very apparent my body has changed. It doesn't matter whether I'm wearing a shirt or whether I'm in the dark, or whatever. And the fact that I have a guitar in front of me, honestly, the fact that the guitar hangs down instead of sticking out like this, like Ash can tell you, when I used to play guitar, my guitar used to sit on my belly angled back towards me. The fact that it can hang down straight like that in that picture is a huge difference. And so I actually found another before and after picture. And I'm going to be posting that one as well because I think it further proves this point. But what this really got me thinking about is no matter what you do, no matter how much weight you lose, no matter how much improvement you make, no matter how many great choices you make, any of these things in your life, there are two ways you can look at it. You can take everything that you're not doing right and everything that's not where it should be and everything that's not perfect, everything that could be better or could be different or needs improvement or it's not fast enough or whatever, which is usually the expectations of the people that make these kinds of comments. And you can focus on that, which is all about negativity. It's all pessimism, it's negativity, it's everything that's wrong, it's everything that's not good enough. You can focus on that because no matter how good of a job you do, you can always find something that you could do better. That's just a fact of life. Or you can take everything that you've done and say, look at the improvement. Look at my newfound motivation for this. Look at my success in this area. Look at the weight that I have lost. Look at the fact that I didn't gain any weight Or look at the fact that even if I did gain a little bit of weight, how much stress I was under. And instead of going back to my old ways, I was able to stick with this and gain just a slight amount. Or, hey, even if I did go off and all of a sudden I ate some standard American diet meals and I gained some weight and I'm swollen, look at the fact that I now have the knowledge to know why that happened. I can change that, I can stop that, and I can turn it back around because now I know what I didn't know back then. There are so many ways we can remain focused on the positive aspects and the things we are succeeding at. And instead of focusing on the negativity, we can focus on all the things we're succeeding at. And when you start to focus on all of the things you're doing well and all of the places you're succeeding, suddenly everything in your life becomes about changing your perspective to being successful, changing your focus to the positivity. And guess what comes along with that? It's not only about losing more weight. It's not only about eating cleaner. It's not only about changing your habits. It's also about improving your mental health, improving your stability, reducing your stress, reducing your cortisol, improving your own self-image. Because here's the deal. If you want to be thin and you want to feel good and you want to be healthy and you want to make all these great decisions about eating the right things and you want to be active and all this stuff, beating yourself up and focusing on all the ways you're not doing that is not going to get you there. If you can think of a time in your life where you or someone else was beating you up, whether you beat yourself up or someone else was beating you up over what you weren't doing right, and that somehow inspired you to feel great about changing, I would love for you to put that in the chat if that worked. Because I've never had it happen. I have never once had a negative impact turn into a positive outcome. Ever. Now, I've had people try to be negative, and honestly, just out of the fact that I say, no, I'm better than that, and I want to prove that wrong, whether it's to myself or even to that person, I've had that inspire me to change. But that's not because the negative impact made me change. That's because my defiance of their negativity is what made me change. They didn't inspire me to change. I inspired me to change in spite of the way they acted. So if you can think of one time that a negative thing in your life inspired you positively, I would love to know, because I've never heard of it. Because even if you say, well, this negative thing resulted in this positivity, it's usually because you looked at the positive twist on that negative thing and you decided to make a change for yourself in spite of the negativity. It's not the negativity that's helping you. So positivity, focusing on taking care of yourself, lifting yourself up in the things you're doing well, inspires more dedication. It inspires more drive and more success. The fact that we have built the YouTube channel we have, and the fact that Ash has built the music career that she has, and we have the community that we do, and we've lost the weight that we have, and we've made the positive changes in our life, and like all these things that we have done, none of that is because somebody beat me up or beat Ash up that somehow magically turned into us being better at it. None of that came from that. That has all come from us supporting each other, you guys supporting us driving ourselves towards further and further success. And it's not because we think we're already where we should be or that we're already where we're going to inevitably be. Like, who I am today, I was not yesterday, and who I am tomorrow is not who I am today. I am in a particular place in my journey, and I'm still moving towards the ultimate goal of what I have, of what I want to be and who I want to be. Doesn't mean that I don't have value already. And that's the thing that people that get negative about these things don't understand. I'm not holding myself up as, hey, look at me with my six-pack and saying you should all look like me. I'm holding myself up as a, hey, look what it's like for a real person to actually improve day by day by day, a little at a time, and look at the tools that I'm using to get myself there. It may also be helpful for you. That's what I'm trying to do on a daily basis. And I'm focusing on the positive aspects of what I do well. Are those Cheetos the cleanest thing I could eat? No. But you know what? I can either look at that and say, well, that's not as good as a steak. Okay, that's negative. Or I can look at that and say, hey, I developed carnivore Cheetos. So if for some reason I or someone else has this weird desire to have a snack food on the road, I could make these and put them in a bag and keep them in the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of getting Cheetos at the gas station when I stop to fill up, I'll eat these instead. And you know what? That's a win, because instead of me doing something that I would then later regret, I've made one step in the right direction to being healthier by changing one of my habits. That's positivity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking the exact same situation and I'm looking at it either with negativity or positivity. And so I would encourage you guys, whatever you're doing on a daily basis, think about every decision you're making. Every time you look at something and go, I didn't do that the way that I should. Stop, flip that, and say, how did I do this better than the place it could have gone? And when I come across this situation again, how can I do it even better? Same situation, totally different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That is the key to being successful in anything. You're going to fall. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to slip up. You're not going to be perfect. There is no such thing as perfect. I don't think, I've been told by so many people, I eat ribeyes, or I eat this, or I eat that, and salt, and I'm never tempted to have anything. I don't believe that. I think that's a lie. Now, they may not choose to actually do it, but I don't think there's zero temptation.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just a subtle quick through their mind and they still say no to it, which I don't think many people are as clean as they claim to be. I think everyone wants to put on a big bravado online. I don't think they actually are that perfect. The people that I know that are real good at this, like Dr. Barry and Nisha, are a great example. Nisha found what works for her. She doesn't care about being perfectly clean according to everyone else's rules. She's like, no, screw that. This works for me. Dr. Barry, I know he has things from occasion, from time to time, like more keto type stuff, or, those kinds of things. Now, he knows himself well enough to know that he's a sugar addict. And if there's keto treats in the house around the holidays, he's like, I have it. And as soon as I realize I'm starting to crave it, I go back to like real strict carnivore, because he recognizes it in himself. But he's not beating himself up for, enjoying those things in the moment, because he's healed to a point where he can. Maybe some people can't, and that's okay. But Dr. Chafee is known for the meat, salt, water thing. I've seen video of him eating things that have cream cheese. Mm-hmm. I've seen him eat dairy. There's videos on his girlfriend's Instagram of him eating things that are not perfectly clean. It's like, you don't have to be perfect to improve. And if you look at what you're doing in a positive light, and you don't beat yourself up for all the ways that it's not as perfect as whatever, mm-hmm. Great. Mm-hmm. Keep going. Keep chasing, doing better and better and better every day, and look positively at how you do it. Now, there's a difference between positivity and making excuses. And that, I think, is where so many people are, quite honestly, when they're commenting on these things online, I think they're just ignorant. They don't get that there's a difference between positive outlooks on trying to improve and making an excuse to allow yourself to make bad choices. Making an excuse of, well, it's been a hard day. I just deserve these, whatever, donuts, Cheetos, the real kind, yeah, whatever. Okay. That's an excuse. And we don't in any way endorse making excuses to allow yourself to just do whatever you want, because that's just bad decision making. Mm. That's like well, it's been a real hard day and I just deserve a soda or a beer or a pizza or whatever. Okay. If you're going to make the choice to have a cheat, that's up to you. And I'm not going to beat somebody up for it, but you can't use it as an excuse mm-hmm. in your life every single day, because you won't move forward, because you can always come up with an excuse every day. It's, you got to do the hard things. But when you're not perfect at doing the hard things, and then you say, okay, this is the places that I did really well, and here's the places I'm going to do even better next time, that's completely a different thing. That's an important line to know. And if you can keep yourself focused on the positivity and the optimistic outlook on these things, you will be so much more successful in the long run. Mm. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what we're trying to encourage you guys to do as well. So what are your thoughts on this?
Amen. Hallelujah. Yes, I really do agree. I think that I think the mind and the heart are probably the two biggest things when it comes to willpower and the human body and what you're allowed to do, which is why I think it is so important to guard your heart and guard your mind and to stay positive and to stay focused. And I agree that I think there's a balance between being honest with yourself and realizing where you need to improve and then just making excuses. I think that's a very big thing. Yeah. I also think that beating yourself up, like perfection is the enemy of progress. You know, if you're putting so much pressure on yourself to be perfect, you're never going to start to do anything, or you're never going to probably reach that goal because you're just so worried about not being perfect all the time. And honestly, it's just, it's causes stress and doubt and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I totally agree. I also think for, I've talked about this with you a couple of times, and, I think it's funny, but I think too, like, when people are going on YouTube videos, or, if you don't have a YouTube channel and you don't do this publicly, like even just people in your life, I think it's so funny to me because I always told Chris, I said, I was really tall and pretty skinny like my whole life. And then there was a 3-year period where I was drinking and living off of fast food, and I was super stressed out. And that's when I gained being a musician. Yeah. That's when I gained all of my weight, was literally in this 3-year period, And so then when I lost all that weight after doing keto, so it's like I lost, basically 100 pounds. And then when I was my heaviest, though, no one ever told me that I was fat. Yeah. Like they didn't. Like it was a thing. Like even people that had known me would say, you know what, I still think you're really pretty. The people around me were so positive about it, and just were kind of like, so be it. Now, maybe they should have said something or tried to make me feel bad, but like I would always get comments about like, oh, you're so pretty, or oh, you're so this. So to me, my weight was never like a really big thing. Yeah. And then I lost 100 pounds, and people were like, good for you. Like they were encouraged and motivated. Then my husband decided to start a YouTube channel, and I started to like come out more behind the camera and like be involved with him. And I was called fat for the first time after I lost 100 some odd pounds. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, so I think you have to remember though, that people, when they lash out and the trolls come in the comments, like, one, don't let them ruin your day, because it's like, it's always one person out of like 20,000. Yeah. It's just their voice is really loud. But it's also a thing of, I think with those types of people, you're really, when you're succeeding at something, whether that be weight loss or mental clarity or, whatever it is you're doing with your life, I think you're just speaking to their insecurities. And so it's just a whole game. Haters are going to hate. Yep. And it's like, you just got to keep being positive, do your thing. Don't worry about them or comparing yourself to someone else. It's literally just wake up and go, man, how can I improve, and how can I reach towards my goal, and how can I be the best version of myself today? Right. And everything else, honestly, it just really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're doing that with meat, salt, water. It doesn't matter if you're doing whatever. It's just, you have to get up daily and just try to improve little by little and reach toward your goals, and be also proud of what you've accomplished and what you've done. And, if you do things right, in 6 months from now, you should look totally different. And I think it just takes time for different people. I know too, we were talking about, I think it was 2 days ago. No, I'm sorry. It was yesterday. We were driving in the car, and Chris had his phone up on the dashboard. He had like his GPS on, and he had turned his GPS off, and he had pictures of me like on his phone screen.
I locked the screen, and it went into one of those like automatic, where it pulls things from your Amazon photos and puts it as like a screensaver on your phone when it's locked and plugged in, and the whole thing.
Yeah, so we were looking at like pictures. He had a bunch of pictures of me up on there, and we were looking at them, and the first one that popped up was actually from almost a year ago today. And I've lost a few pounds. I think maybe like, I think about 12 or something like that. But it's not like I've lost that much more weight.
Yeah, it's not like a 50-pound weight loss from that picture.
No, but we were talking about, if you look at a picture of me from a year ago today, my face is so much puffier. And then it put up another picture that was like from 6 months ago. Yeah. And you can see a difference from here 6 months to the present day. And so it's like, well, even if I'm not losing 50 pounds, every couple of months, or, I don't have a 6-pack, it's like, well, wait a second. Like, how can you deny the results? Because look at these pictures, and you can literally see my body is healing reconstructing. My skin is healthier. So again, it's just like have your own goals. And so I know we can't cuss on these things, but I don't give a you know what like about some on the internet talking about this stuff, because it's like you don't know our story, you don't know where we've been, and I'm still seeing progress, and I personally really believe in this lifestyle. So peace out. Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Absolutely.
You just gotta keep doing you.
I totally agree. Well, and, the funny thing is, like, so I've lost about 130 pounds, and Ash has lost about 100. And the comment that someone made on the Cheetos post where they said, this isn't the home run you think it is, it was funny. They actually said that they were rooting for Ash and I, and that, they liked my videos and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't think you're rooting for me if you're trying to point out how I'm not doing the things that you apparently think that I think I'm doing, and you're kicking me while I'm down. If now I'm not really down, but if I was really down and then you were going to point it out and then kick me while I was down, that's not really rooting for someone and cheering somebody on. Mm-hmm. They also made the comment, I'm not really sure you've lost what you say you've lost. And I think it's so interesting. It's like, so because I don't look the way you think I should look, having lost the amount that I have lost, and because the weight loss hasn't happened in the time frame that you think it should happen in, is somehow devaluing everything that I'm saying in your mind. And I realized that's a negative outlook on a very positive thing. I mean, it's like, okay, do I still have extra weight to lose? Yeah, of course I do. Look at any picture of me. You can tell I still have a belly I need to get rid of, right? So I can focus on the fact that I still have probably another 50 to 70 pounds I'd like to lose. Or I can stop and turn around and go, I've lost 130 pounds. I have friends that are smaller than that. I have friends that weigh less than 130 pounds. I've lost an entire human being. And it's like, what time frame is the appropriate amount of time to lose? By the time I lose the rest of my weight, I will have lost like 200 pounds. Well, what's the appropriate amount of time? Right. What's the right amount of time to lose 200 pounds?
The other thing is, I think a lot of these people, like I said, you're kind of, I think, focusing in on their own insecurities. And so, and whether it's someone in like your own life that's like, oh, don't do keto carnivore, it will kill you. It's like, well, look at how those people eat, and I hate to say that. I mean, I have a really good friend of mine who's a vegetarian, and, clearly it's like we kind of believe opposite on the spectrum of what diet should be, and we're likely still to be friends. But, I find it really interesting that it's like not just scale victories, but things like mental health and clarity and like the energy that you have and like all these different things that have changed is like incredible. And yet they're sitting there totally against the keto carnivore lifestyle, low carb. And yet they're like anemic and they have no energy and they're having hormonal issues. And it's just like, and they're telling us like, oh my gosh, I think you guys are crazy. And it's like, really? Like, so again, it's just haters gonna hate, and you just got to do the best you can.
You just can't please people when it comes to that kind of stuff. And honestly, you can't focus on pleasing people. And that's where that focusing on positivity instead of negativity comes in, because people will use negativity as a weapon against you to make themselves feel better. Or to bring attention to themselves. And so when
it's literally narcissistic behavior.
It is absolutely. And when these kinds of things happen, the reason that I talk about this kind of stuff on both of my channels, I'm pretty transparent about this. And quite honestly, I go in the comments section sometimes. A lot of times I just delete these things. But sometimes if there's a particular point to be made, I'll go in the comments section and I'll get pretty brutal with people like that. And the reason I do that, when I was almost 400 pounds and when we first learned about keto, I was watching videos and I was struggling, trying to figure out, is this truly going to work? Is this actually something that I could rely on? Because honestly, I didn't have any belief or faith that I could do any of this. And why would I? I'd tried other things. Nothing ever worked. I was sick, fat, and miserable, and I hated myself. Why would I look in the mirror and go, keto's going to work for you. You can really do it. Why would I do that? I wasn't in a place to do that. So if we're trying to help people, we're trying to convince people to give this a try, and not just give it a try, but really dive in and try Because once you get on the other side of it, it totally changes. And then you go, now I get it. But you have to get that awakening before you really understand. So to get people to step across that line and actually have the confidence to give this a shot, we have to be overly encouraging. When I was at the point where I was trying to figure this all out, I would watch videos. And when I saw people make comments like that, and nobody was responding to them, it was just a comment on a video, I would start to sit there and question. And those were the comments that I really thought stuck out to me of like, well, these people are saying this is stupid. Are they right? Is this really stupid? Like, should I actually do this? Is this actually healthy? I mean, I was so brain fogged. I could not figure out how to have my own opinion about anything. And I was relying on at least the apparent integrity of what other people were doing and saying to kind of be my strength to figure out whether I should give this a shot or not. And I would see things like that and no one would say anything. And I would question if I should even do this. And then I would feel even worse about myself because they'd say something negative about the person posting the video. And I'm like, but I'm way bigger than that person. Well, now I feel even worse because it's like, if that person deserves this comment, imagine what I deserve. And it would make me feel terrible. And quite honestly, I have no patience for people that go into comment sections and tear other people down like that. You can't, show up with someone face to face and actually do the things you would like to do when you see people do that. And it's, it's not an appropriate way to handle conflict, but it really infuriates me. And it's not because it bothers me. It's not my ego that cares. I don't care. People have called me all kinds of things, and having a channel, I've been told every horrible thing you can possibly imagine in the YouTube comment sections in starting this channel. It just doesn't even faze me. More importantly, I do not have time and patience to allow people to act that way because I've said this before. The only thing it takes for evil to succeed is that good men do nothing. And if people are being jerks, there's basically two things you can do. You can either delete the comment or you can go and address the comment. But ignoring the comment, I don't think is an appropriate response. I really don't. You can delete it. That's fine if you just think it's best to not engage with someone. And most of the time I do. But every now and then there are comments that I think there's an important point that needs to be made. And I do address them. And that's fine. I'll take the heat from that person who gets angry at me and whatever. I don't care because it's not about me. It's about people who need positivity and they need to see that someone is willing to stand up to people like that and defend them in a very roundabout way. My mom always said that I was the champion of the underdog as a kid. Like, I was always friends with the most unpopular kids because I didn't think it was fair that they got treated the way they did. I was homeschooled from 5th grade all the way through, but up until 4th grade, I was in public school. I was friends with the kids that had no money, the kids that wore cheap clothes and kind of like their clothes were dirty or torn up or any of those kinds of things in school. I was friends with the kids who weren't athletic like everybody else. I was friends with the kids who, personality-wise, they struggled or they were more shy or any of those kinds of things. Like the popular kids in school, I butted heads with them all the time. I was that kid. Like, I was really good at soccer when I was a kid, and soccer was like the game on the playground when I was in grade school. All the popular kids were athletic and good at soccer. They were on the good team. And then there was the bad team, which was all the unathletic and unpopular kids. And although I was a better soccer player than probably all the kids on the good team, you can guess which team I was always on. I was always on the bad team because the popular kids would not let me be on their team, because if they started bullying the unpopular kids, I'd go right back at them. I've never been afraid of that. And for people who are overweight or people who are struggling with physical things or people who are sick and they're miserable and they don't know if keto and carnivore can help, like, I have so much empathy because I was right there, and I feel so strongly that somebody needs to help people like that remain positive. Somebody has to, because we can all sit here and yell at people about not eating steaks and salt. And it's like, I've told people before, like very dogmatic carnivores that come in and that's what they focus on. They focus on the negativity. And I'll respond to them and I go, well, I guess everyone's just not as good as you. But, since you can sit there and watch the world burn, at least they all know you're better than them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that makes people mad when I
Mm-hmm.
call them out and when I point that out, because that's the thing. It's about their ego and they don't want themselves being pointed out as a person that's all about their ego. They want to be celebrated for how great they are at carnivore. And that's a bunch of BS.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
I
And
agree.
I don't sit by and tolerate people using negativity as a weapon against other people. And so that's why we do these motivations. I want you guys to be motivated and encouraged. And I want you to know you are so much more valuable than people treating you that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to stand up for yourself. And I know there's a lot of people that don't have the mental clarity and the confidence because they're overweight and they're brain fogged and they're sick and they're miserable and they're in pain and they don't know all the things about the low carb lifestyle. Like they're still learning. They're just brand new to this. Maybe they haven't even started. Maybe they're still on a standard American diet and they're just considering it. Those people need help.
Mm-hmm.
They need someone who can be positive and help them see that positivity. And so if that makes me enemies, so be it. I will defend people who need defending. I will defend weak and innocent and alone people because those people need defending. My recipes are not for people who already have the meat, salt, water type carnivore thing figured out, who have 6-packs and don't need anything else in their life. And that's the thing. Those people want to be held up as being such elite princes and princesses of the carnivore world that they think it just makes them better than everyone and we should all just acknowledge that they're better. And it's like, I'm not trying to in any way take someone who's already on like a successful carnivore diet and pull them back to a dirtier form of carnivore. I don't care about that. I care about the fact that there are billions of people in the world that are sick and dying. And there's a small handful of people out there that think the way that we get them to change is to punch them in the gut every chance they get.
Mm-hmm.
That is complete BS. And I really wish that there was some way that I could just stop that. I can't. I don't have the power to stop that. But what I do have the power to do is create a channel, 2 channels at this point, in a community where people can come and feel supported and feel safe in what they do. And when people like that try to come into the community and try to beat my people up, I can tell them to shove it. And I can show people in our community, you don't have to tolerate being treated that way. You are worth more than that. I'm worth more than that. My wife is worth more than that. And together, we can all be a community where it's like, no, this is about being positive and focusing on what we have done that has improved our lives. And sure, we still have more places that we need to improve. We're not denying that. We're not saying we're already there. We're not going, hey, look at me without my shirt on. Look at my 6-pack. Look how great I am. I love the fact that there are influencers out there that have used carnivore to just make their body ripped. I think that's great. How in the world does some random housewife from the Midwest or some dude who's struggled with diabetes his entire life and is 175 pounds overweight, or someone who's bound to a wheelchair because of all of their medical issues, or someone who's dealing with seizures, or someone who has a child who's autistic that won't eat low carb foods because they're not the right texture, or someone who's 75 years old and is struggling with their bone health, or I'll go down through the list. How in the world do those people look at someone with a 6-pack and go, I relate to that? How does that help when someone like that has a community of people who then decide to go out to other places and beat up all the people that aren't as good? That's why I refuse to put up with that. And that's why positivity is the whole point of what we try to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when I see that kind of negativity come in the comments section, I delete it or I put up a brick wall and I shut it down and tell those people, you are a worthless waste of human space if that is how you choose to treat people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was 400 pounds, I needed that. And I didn't have it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked in the mirror and I was like totally focused on the negativity. All I could see was all the weight and the miserable look on my face and the puffiness in my cheeks and the pain in my back and the pain in my knee and my ankle. And I mean, just all these things. I mean, I don't know if you guys probably don't know, but I have a big metal rod in my left ankle from where I broke it. I was probably pushing 350 to 370 pounds, somewhere in that range, broke my ankle. And that's probably, I think, where the last chunk really came from of my weight, because I spent like 6 weeks sitting in a chair in a cast eating food, and from that point on, my ankle was in so much pain, and it was just always stiff and all these kinds of things. And like, I mean, it was very difficult. It's still not as strong as my right ankle and probably never will be again. So physical activity on top of being almost 400 pounds was made worse by the fact that my left ankle was very sore and swollen. It just, to this day, it's still bigger than my right ankle. And my right knee, I actually dislocated when I was in high school. So it can give me problems if I'm not careful with it. Just the way my kneecaps are shaped genetically, they're just flat on the bottom. So they're loose and they can cause trouble. So I had issues with joints that were then made 100 times worse because of the extra weight that I carried. And it's like, okay, well, eat less and move more and deal with it, and you're fat and all. It's, how is that supposed to help me? But I have changed so much because of keto and then a carnivore diet, giving me so much mobility back and my pain going away in my joints. And now I can go up the stairs without my knee and my ankle hurting. Now I can go hiking like we did last weekend, and take the dog and my wife and go out and walk around and stuff. And it's like, I can walk around on rocks on a trail and not have my ankles sore by the time, we're 100 feet away from the car. It's like I'm not getting twinging pain from my left ankle or in my right knee. Like, that's a major victory. So what does it matter if I haven't lost the other 50 to 70 pounds that I want to lose in the time frame that some Yahoo online thinks that I'm supposed to lose it in? Like, this picture isn't the home run you think it is pure ignorance, because you aren't smart enough to know what a home run even looks like. And you can't see a home run in a picture. You don't win a game with one home run. You win a game with multiple. Losing 130 pounds was one home run. Not having pain in my ankle and my knee, that's another. Getting my mental health and my clarity back so I wasn't depressed and thinking about how I'm worthless and heading in the direction of becoming suicidal someday, that's a home run. Getting rid of my addiction to sugar and the things that I wanted, like the snack cakes and the slushies from Sonic and the fast food and all the different things I used to eat on a daily basis, that's another home run. I mean, how many home runs do we have to start stacking up before suddenly what I do is valuable? You guys have to think about your own lives and your own diets from that kind of perspective. It's not somebody else's decision to tell you when what you've done is a home run and when it's valuable. You decide when it's a home run. And after you've hit one, get back on home plate and hit another. And then go back to home plate and go hit another. I mean, run those bases over and over and over and over and over, and don't let anybody else tell you your home run wasn't a long enough hit. And sometimes it's not a home run. Sometimes it's a single.
Yeah.
That's okay. Get on first base if that's what you got to do. I don't care. Just focus on being positive in those things, and you will see so much benefit. And day by day, you will improve a little at a time, and you will feel good about it because you're looking at all the ways it's positive, and you will look at all of the ways you can continue moving forward.
Yes.
I'm done preaching.
Well, let's read the comments.
Before we get
on with our day.
Everybody's probably like, Chris, shut up. We get it. Positivity. Let's see. Simon's RC says sardine helper. If I tried to feed my wife sardine helper, she'd probably punch me.
I'd be gone.
And she'd be like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what we can do. Patricia says, kind of like you did with the shrimp. Maybe. I don't know. That would be double cooking those sardines. That might turn into a real intense flavor and smell. So we'll see. Lynn says sardine helper. Haha. Well, those sardines need a lot of help for sure. I have to side with Ash on this one. I'm not eating them. They're so good for you. Really wish I could eat them. Yeah.
I'm with you, girl. Yeah.
I get it. And Patricia, she's like you. She says haters gonna hate.
Oh yeah.
Lynn says your before and after comparison pictures are pretty amazing, Chris. Plus all the wonderful health benefits. I appreciate that. And yeah, there's so many health benefits that go so far beyond just pictures that you can see of my waistline. So it's really cool. And I wish the same for all of you. Like, it's not just about your before and after pictures. It's about your before and after personalities and happiness and all the things that come with it. Janelle says, LOL, I wish I could get my husband to stop making excuses. That's why I love your recipes. Helps keep him on track. And that's the thing. Someone who wants to make excuses like that, it doesn't do us any good to beat people up and tell them they're making excuses. We have to inspire them. And that's why recipes can be so helpful for someone who is maybe still stuck in that. Okay, cool. Let's offer you options where the excuses go away. And then when you get yourself away from making excuses, then it's a lot easier to more clearly see that those were excuses. Because that's the thing, excuses don't feel like excuses to the person making them in the moment.
Right.
That's what addiction and, habits and all that kind of stuff, that's how it plays itself out. So I totally get it. I made excuses for a long time, so certainly no judgment. I get it. Jackie is here, says, late to the live, rock on, Ash, with the non-scale beautification transformation victories. Correction, healthification transformation.
I like that. Thank you so much. We're glad that you're here, and I appreciate that.
That's really cool. Jackie also says, you've lost a whole boy band member. Yes, I have.
Yes, you have.
Yes, I have. Depending on which boy band, maybe 1.5. Patricia says, Ash, you have a warrior there.
I sure do.
Something like that. I just got to make sure that I'm not flashing my sword at people who don't need it flashed. So she keeps me in line.
Someone has to.
Someone has to.
Someone has to. I'll let him go out when he needs to, and then we have to rope him back in sometimes.
That's
but
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. Jackie says, reading back through the comments, I wonder if I could get gel cap pills to smooth sardines into, because I want them, but do not want them to come out of the cans I have gathering dust. Yeah.
That's fair.
I get it. I started eating sardines when I was a little kid because my grandpa, who was the one that passed away here a few months ago, he used to eat sardines out of a can. He loved them, and he would put a little bit of apple cider vinegar and salt and pepper on them. And I love that because I started eating them as a kid. But if you don't like that, they are tough. Yeah. They are tough. So, Jackie says, sometimes it is easier to defend others than it is to stick up for ourselves. I totally agree, because you can see the worth in other people. If you're a caring individual who actually has a heart for other people, and you're not just a narcissistic, egotistical jerkwad, like, you can see value in other people, and you can see them being put down, and it can really become like painful in your heart for you to see that to happen to other people. And I feel like sometimes it can be much easier to step between someone who's being beaten up and the person doing it than it is when you're the one being beaten up to stand up in spite of it. That can be a very hard thing to do sometimes. And that's why it's like, you know what? There are millions and probably billions of people that are sick and need help with their diet and need inspiration and need positivity and need someone to just be in their corner so they don't feel alone. And I hope that they have someone in their life. But if they don't, Chris Cooking Nashville in this community is always here. I will always be here fighting that fight. Until the day I die, I will be happy to stand between someone who is beating someone up and the person who doesn't deserve that. I'll take the punches. That's okay. I've done it for a long time, and I can do it a lot longer. Addicted to Antlers is here. Hello.
Hello.
She says, we love your preaching, Chris. Well, I appreciate that. I try not to overly do the preaching, but sometimes you get me going and a sermon starts. So Sherry is here, says, whoosh, here I come sliding into the live. Well, Sherry, we're glad you're here. Make sure to go back and watch the beginning of it, the replay. I think we talked about some good stuff today. Patricia also says salmon is just as good as sardines. Yes.
And I love salmon.
Salmon is really, really good. The problem with salmon is the wild caught salmon is so expensive. And the farmed salmon is good, but it's definitely not as good because of the omega-3 to omega-6 ratios. And, sometimes there's a lot of color added to it. There's some weird things. So ideally, salmon that is wild caught is better. We oftentimes eat the farm salmon because, again, we're doing our best. We're not focusing on perfection. We're not beating ourselves up. But I would love to be able to have more wild caught salmon in in our diet. But until the YouTube channel doubles in size, I don't know if we're gonna quite be at a point where we can afford wild caught salmon on a daily basis. But we're doing the best we can with what we've got. So sardines, the nice thing is that they're basically too small for them to farm. So they're all wild caught, which is why Dr. Barry always says, if you see a can that says wild caught and they're charging you more money because it says wild caught, don't worry about buying it because they're all wild caught. So Jackie says, I've definitely asked dear friends who self-trash talk if they would ever say that same thing to me, and they have to acknowledge that they are engaging in self-harm. Yeah. And that's the thing, when you put that kind of thing in perspective for somebody, would you say this to somebody else? And then they stop and they realize I'm really beating myself up and I'm being super negative. It really points it out to them. And this is something I've done with people when it comes to learning to play guitar, because they're very negative about their ability to learn to play guitar. I can't do this. I'm not going to succeed at this. I'm worried I can't learn this, whatever it is. And I always say, so I do the same thing. I put that into perspective for them. And then I always ask them, I go, think about that thing you just said. And they go, okay, whose voice was that? And they stop and they look at me and I go, I know it's not yours. Who in your life? Whose voice is in your head that you're hearing? Who does it sound like when you say that to yourself in your own head? Whose voice is it? And it's like, it sounds like my dad. It sounds like my uncle. It sounds like my sister. It sounds like someone. There is a voice of someone who has criticized them. And when they start self-criticizing in their head, it sounds like that voice, that person who criticized them. And I've helped so many students realize you're not beating yourself up because you believe it. You're beating yourself up on someone else's behalf who was too ignorant and egotistical to not beat you up themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't beat yourself up on someone else's behalf. Someone else is already going to have the ability to beat you up as it is. You don't need to double down and add more to it. So, Patricia says, do the pandas massage the salmon also? Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they probably do. So Dr. Barry always makes jokes about the grass-fed panda massaged meat and the whole thing. And it's a whole thing. So, yeah, I'm sure there's some panda massaged salmon out there as well that is probably stupidly expensive. But Jackie says, my mom used to have an old school bell hanging over the kitchen table that she called the negativity bell. And if anyone was trash talking themselves, she would ring that bell. That's a really,
I love that.
That's a really cool thing. I think, whatever our process is for recognizing the negativity and then stopping it and switching it and changing it to positivity is a really good thing. So I think we're caught up. Do you have any final thoughts today?
No, I don't think so. I feel pretty motivated, pretty
you
positive.
Feel motivated?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel motivated. I hope you guys feel motivated. We love you guys. We really, really do. And I will be here ready to jump in to the fight and defend any one of you for anything that you ever need in any way that I can, because that's just what I do. We have a really cool Tuesday Night Live coming tomorrow. We are experimenting with a new kind of protein for my pasta. So you guys make sure if you're free, come tune in tomorrow night for Backstage with Chris at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on the main Chris Cooking Nashville channel. We're going to make pasta with a brand new protein, and we're going to see how that turns out comparatively. It's going to be a really, really good time. We also have coming on Saturday, we're trying to figure out the order, but I'm guessing I'm probably going to release the upgraded hamburger helper on Saturday, and you guys are not going to want to miss this because it's really good, especially if you say, I can't eat chicken or I don't want to eat poultry as much. I don't want to eat, that kind of stuff. I've got a different way of making the noodles, no chicken. So it's going to be really cool. So we got a couple of different ways of using new proteins coming up this week. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be really, really good. If you haven't seen it yet, I also did an interview with Anita from Ketogenic Woman on this channel. I did it on the main channel, but if you could watch it on this channel, that would be amazing. That helps me with the watch hours on this channel, so we can get this channel off the ground and running more. So anyway, thank you guys for your support. We love every single one of you. All my links are in the description box. And if you need anything, we're always here for you. I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay motivated. This is Chris Cooking Nashville. My beautiful wife sitting over here, Ash Taylor. You guys eat your meat, love your life. We'll see you back here for more motivation, in the kitchen for some more recipes, and on the road touring soon. Bye, guys.